Hi, I'm Keiko, the instructor of presentation skills for researchers. We've talked about how to make an effective conclusion in previous videos. In this video, I'm going to talk about something more basic, but something very important. That is, summarize your main points in the conclusion. Regardless of the type of your presentation or the topic of your presentation, you need to recap your main points in the conclusion. Why? Because when you give a presentation, you want your audience to understand your message and remember it. Well, people tend to remember what they hear at the end. Even if you made a clear point in the introduction and throughout the body, if you don't summarize your points effectively at the end, your audience might not be able to remember your message after they leave the room. Also, a clear summary at the end brings a closure to your presentation. When you summarize your points in the conclusion, there are some useful phrases you might want to remember. You might already use this common phrase. In conclusion. But you can also say, to summarize my points, to sum up, to recap, instead of my points, you could say what I talked about today or what we've discussed, as in, to summarize what I've talked about today, to sum up what we've discussed. You can also use let me instead of to, like let me summarize my points. Let me sum up. Let me recap. These phrases are helpful because when you say one of these phrases, it will let your audience know that you're about to give a summary to conclude your speech. They will know exactly what to expect. The TED Talk you're going to watch today is Dr. Sheena Iyengar's How to Make Choosing Easier. If you took my course, Presentation Skills for Researchers, you're already familiar with this speech. She's such an eloquent speaker, and her speeches are very clear, so I like to use her speeches as examples. This speech is longer than the speeches I normally use for this newsletter, but I would like you to watch it from the beginning to the end when you have time. It's very easy to follow because the organization of the speech is super clear, and she explains with clear language and relatable examples. And the content is fascinating. But of course, for the purpose of this lesson, I want you to focus on her conclusion. While watching the video, I want you to write down the lexical phrase for summarizing points that she used, like to conclude, and write down her summary. After the video, we will come back and go over the answer. Enjoy! So what did you think? If it was difficult, that's okay, because she tends to speak quickly. But don't give up. Watch it many times, and you will hear more words and phrases and understand more every time you watch it. But were you able to catch the lexical phrase she used for giving a summary? What did she say? She said, so let me recap. That's the phrase that signals that a summary is coming. Then she went on to say, I have talked about 4 techniques for mitigating the problem of choice overload. After that, she summarized her 4 techniques simply clearly and effectively. She said, cut, get rid of the extraneous alternatives. Concretize, make it real. Categorize, we can handle more categories, less choices. Condition for complexity. When you summarize, you don't have to say everything you've talked about in your speech. Just pick out the key points that you focused on in your speech and that you want your audience to remember. Dr. Iyengar's summary was so clear, it made her conclusion and her entire speech even more effective. And it's more likely that her audience will remember these points and apply them in their lives. To sum up, if you want to give an effective presentation, don't forget to summarize your points in the conclusion. It will help you emphasize your points and help your audience remember these points. And when you give a summary, use one of the phrases I've shown you today that signal that a summary is coming. Thank you for watching the video. If you have any questions or any other topics you would like me to cover in the newsletter, please let us know. See you next time!